Hello and welcome to Night Talkers, your weekly Game of Thrones after show here on Entertainment.ie, brought to you by Kyo's Crisps, Ireland's fastest growing crisp brand. If you want to win a year's supply of Kyo's Crisps, you can go to Kyo's.ie. We'll have our own competition for a box of Kyo's Crinkle Cut Crisps later on the show. Now we're going to talk about Beyond the Wall and that killer of an ending, literal killer. But we'll start there because it's something else we can really talk about.
Ice Dragon.
Ice Dragon. Like, did you expect this? Or
It was kind of like what Game of Thrones does a lot of the time, is in somewhere deep down you kind of knew it was possible, but it was still a surprise. But I think it was one of those things of like, God, could they ever? But I didn't think it would happen so soon. In my mind, Daenerys and her dragons going up against like the White Walkers and the Army of the Dead, that was something that was going to happen in the grand finale, way down the next season. So the fact that we got this now and, the dragon like transforming into a zombie dragon already is just sort of like a huge game changer now.
I know. Also, where do they find like 20,000 feet of metal chains? I suppose that's what maybe that's what the Night King has been. Do you think this is what the Night King has been waiting for all along?
Maybe.
That he was actually like, I'm just going to ramble around, wait till someone brings me a weapon.
Yeah, they're going to get this stupid foolhardy idea to like kidnap a dead person.
Yeah, I suppose we can kind of just go back and start there. How dumb was this idea?
I know, and I was definitely hoping that the episode would clear it up a bit and that they'd have some sort of game plan that they just weren't showing us. Like, as I think it was you were saying last week about like, maybe they'll have like a cage or, there'll be some sort of game plan. Yeah. But no, they actually
they were so the best.
Yeah, like if you just like, it was a fantastic episode, but if you dig just a little deep below the surface, kind of like, what? Like, what was your game plan? Like, even simple things like, why not bring a raven with you? Like, so you can send it
bring
back.
a raven.
Yeah.
Bring a raven.
Maybe just say, like Daenerys, like, just maybe hang around Eastwatch with a dragon just in case.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they just got there with no game plan whatsoever. They didn't even talk about a game plan. They just caught up with each other,
At least they kind of acknowledged how stupid they were. It was Tormund who pretty much said about Roberts? Gendry.
Gendry, yes.
He basically said, is he a good fighter or anything? He's a good fighter, yeah, but he's not that smart. And he said, well, he wouldn't be smart. You don't need to be smart up here. We wouldn't be here at all. This is a stupid plan.
Yeah.
And it was Tyrion's plan. Tyrion, who's meant to be the great
We'll get to him later and his dumb plans and his last dumb season.
One other thing about the chains and the, bringing him out of the water, what I also was wondering is why, like, did the Night King not just dive on in there and do it from under, like, I know visually, camera-wise, but it was sort of like, he's made of ice. He could have just dove down, tapped the magic dragon, and then the dragon could have flown up out of the water.
And what, get wet?
But he's made of ice, Max.
I don't know, but there's a weird thing we kind of talk about, I suppose, with White Walkers and water, where, because we saw in Hard Home, he walked to the edge of the water and stopped, and then did his whole raising there. And we saw this week that like they ran and they were able to run on the ice, but the second they fell into the water, they sank. Now, in my head, it was because, well, they're dead, they've no oxygen in them, which means they've no buoyancy, which means they're just going to sink, and they're wearing armor and they've got heavy stuff on them.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know why the Night King and the actual White Walkers can't be in water.
Yeah.
Is it because they are ice and it will just like freeze around them and maybe they'll just be frozen in the water? Maybe that's
I think
it'll sink.
I literally think it's just for the sake of giving the viewer a more clear perspective on how him turning it into it. But at the same time, again, it's just sort of on a practical level, there's a lot of, I don't want to say plot holes because we are dealing with a fantasy drama.
I know.
But it's a part of me is just sort of like, is Jon Snow that big of an idiot to just go behind the wall with no plan whatsoever?
Like 12 of us will go.
Yeah.
But then he walked away from the dragon and just said, I'm going to take on the whole army by myself. What? Stop. Just get on the dragon and leave.
Dragon, yeah. Like, he's kind of semi-responsible for the dragon's death just by trying to be the hero,
Yeah.
Pretty much, the big man. But
like there was the long line of like stupid decisions that he made leading up to this episode and in this episode. First of all, when Jorah, he was like, here, take the sword back, it belongs to you. And I was like, dude, that's the one sword that you need to kill everything.
Now's not the time to be giving that sword back when
later.
you're about to go challenge the White Walkers and you know how to kill them.
Then they met a zombie polar bear and they're like, oh, let's investigate. And then they just let it like kill everyone. And Jorah's the one who has to pull out a dragonglass knife and be like, oh, why are they not all carrying dragonglass everything?
I know, didn't they just get a shitload of dragonglass from the God, we're really tearing into it.
But like
for an episode we all really liked.
It was a great episode, but they're really fucking stupid.
I know, and it's just, I think that like the whole thing with it now is that they're so keen on bringing us so much action, and it's fantastic. Like, I loved every moment of it, but it's kind of like you're losing a bit of the character development of being like, come on, surely Jon Snow would know by now after all his time beyond the wall.
Not even development. after the
prepared
Battle
better.
of the Bastards when he completely fucked that up.
It's
Yeah.
integrity of characters. It's staying true to who they are. It's like,
Exactly,
you know, like even like the ambush of the White Walker. How did they know that they were going to find a few of them by themselves?
No.
And then they're like, we'll just jump out of it, making loads of noise. It was like, you could have just been real quiet.
Yeah.
You could have just been real quiet and like killed a lot of them and bagged one.
Yeah.
You know, like why did you have to do that? And then like, not bringing ravens was another stupid thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, go, run, just run. All of a sudden,
Poor Gendry doing a marathon of
How do they know
suddenly
he's the
is-
fastest as well?
Yeah,
He's
remember
training
they all
before.
like doing races, like you know.
It's not like his family is known for athletics. Like Robert is a bit chubbo. Like
Suddenly he's the fastest.
Yeah.
Like, and let's take the hammer as well. So
Yeah.
like, the poor fella has no weapon, even if he does stumble across a string.
I did
Also,
have a hard
yeah.
about when he was running through the snow by himself. I was like, oh, he's going to get somewhere and suddenly have no weapon and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, oh no, but I knew they wouldn't kill him just for no reason.
Yeah.
also, sorry, going back to Jon Snow being stupid. Gendry's
Sorry, Jon Snow knows nothing. Let's just be clear.
I mean, he's terribly handsome, but God, he really needs to start getting his shit together, you know?
Gendry, who's never been north of the wall, was the one told to go back. Like, how did he even know his way?
Of all people.
Well, I suppose he would have just walked it, so.
I suppose.
I
But
know,
it was
but
like
it's
a lot of
snowy. and
snowstorm.
I actually had
like,
that thought as well. It's like
he's
he
got
doesn't know where
lost.
he's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tormund knows where he's going.
Tormund
Said
would know.
Tormund,
John
but-
might know.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. Loved the episode, though.
Loved
Fantastic.
it. Yeah, had a great time.
Yeah.
So I suppose like the ambush was great.
Yeah.
We figured out that when you kill a White Walker, it has an effect on the whites, the dead around them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which then we were kind of also then is told again later on when Barrack and Jorah were like, kill him, kill the
Yeah.
Night King, you
So
kill
we
them all.
kind of know what ultimately needs to be done.
Yeah, it's
for,
like kill
you
the
know-
Night King, they all die.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
there seems to be though like thousands and thousands of soldiers in the way, so like it's not like it's an easy thing to just walk up and kill him.
No, but it will be sort of the ultimate showdown, I imagine, when this inevitable battle happens between
Yeah.
Ice Dragon, Real Dragon, and Jon and Daenerys and whoever else, maybe Cersei, who knows. But I assume that that's going to be the kind of final showdown.
Yeah.
It will be between Jon Snow and the Night King.
Yeah.
Who is a different actor, by
Yes.
the way. Have you noticed this?
I have not. No.
I was watching it and I think it's I had just looked into it there. So they had a guy called Richard Drake or something like
Yeah,
that. Played him up until season 6, and then now I was kind of working out how we didn't notice it last season, but we got very little of the White Walkers last season.
Yeah.
And it was only when I was just watching him walk towards the dragon I was like, this Night King doesn't look half as scary or intimidating as he did when it was like Hardhome, when he was sort of, you know, come at me, Jon Snow, with his hands. And yeah, so they've changed actors. It's now a Slovakian actor called Vladimir something or other. I actually did look it up, but it's a complicated name. But so it is a different actor, and yeah, it's funny. I was looking at kind of pictures of them too, and you know, the former one did look a little bit more intimidating,
nastier,
even though
yeah.
it's the same kind of makeup. I think it's the facial features that look a little bit less pronounced on the new guy, which is fine, I guess. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people didn't notice it, but at the same time, like, oh, bring back the last guy.
Yeah.
Is the new guy the guy? Do you know when Bran had that vision of?
Yes,
being
it's
killed?
that.
Yeah,
it's
so the
that
new guy is,
Okay.
is the person we saw as a human.
Yeah, so I think they obviously like, oh, we need a human one. And we need him to act as opposed to just be in special effects and makeup or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Jon's Magnificent Seven, because I feel like
Yes.
we had all the battle and obviously we said goodbye to one of them, but like the
Only
first
one as well.
20 minutes of like character building was actually, again, as I've said throughout the season, it's a bit fan servicey because they're giving us all these things they know they want to talk about.
Exactly. It's
But we have
almost
to talk
reading
about
like
them.
fan fiction sometimes, like, you know,
yeah.
as I was saying, it's like us and the writers, but it is sort of like how you would have imagined conversations going between these two.
Yeah.
There's not really that much, not these characters, but at the same time it was so entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I like Gendry's being like, you sold me, and he was like, eh.
Yeah.
And then I was like, MVP, the Hound. Like,
I was worried about Sir Davos not being there. Like, where are we going to get humor from? Totally forgot that the Hound is always has the best lines.
Yeah.
yeah.
Whinging.
Whinging.
Yeah,
Your
I
mouth's
made a list.
moving.
I made a list. It's like bitching and moaning. Like
Yeah.
if your mouth is moving and you're moaning, you're whinging. Or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
it was like that. Or and then it was like you talking about Tormund and Brienne. It's like, you know Brienne of Tarth. You're with Brienne of fucking Tarth.
Yeah.
And he was like, head of the mad fucker like he used to drive this long.
Yeah,
Like that was a
that's
great.
fantastic.
I want to
great.
make good
Teaching
babies.
Tormund what dick is. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Cock.
And he's like, oh, I like dick.
Dick.
Oh, no, I like
I like dick.
I bet you do.
Yeah. What else did he say? He was like, he was like tearing off the face, and he's like, oh god.
Yeah.
And then what was the other things he did? And he was like, when he kicked the dead white, he does like to kick
Yeah.
it. When he threw the stone
When
at
he
the
was
white and
throwing
break
the
his
stone.
foot.
Bold, like,
Yeah.
He's just this kid who
Very
just like,
bold.
and he was like, oh, But he saved Tormund.
Yeah, he did.
He saved Jorah from falling off the dragon.
Yeah.
So like, and then at the end when he was like leaving, and they're like, "See you again," he was like, "I fucking hope not."
Yeah.
We're all like, "Yes, actually."
So the Hound is off to King's Landing as well, I assume.
He's through the White into the boat. Is that what?
Yeah.
So he must be going to King's Landing, or was he just putting it on the boat?
No,
he's putting it on Daenerys' boat
because he said goodbye pretty much to Beric.
Yeah, so we left Beric and Tormund behind because Tormund needs to stay at Eastwatch and Beric is just going to go
chill out
somewhere for a while, I guess, till he's needed again, which I assume he will be.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the resurrection chat between him and John as well.
Yeah.
Because we don't really hear that much of John's like
insight into
like how he's feeling about being resurrected. How is he different? What does he think about it that much? Whereas at least it was like some kind of conversation with another person about like how he doesn't really know what it means, and this was Beric's kind of philosophy on life, and it was just it was more like, oh, okay, so John does sit and think about the fact that he was resurrected sometimes.
Even though nothing happened and he didn't hear from any Lord of Light or nothing. Do you think it's a bit of foreshadowing? Like, do you think that when we get to the end of season 8 that John will still be alive, or do you think that this is like pointing at the fact that like death always wins?
I don't know. I've always been a firm believer in that Jon Snow is the key to everything.
Okay.
And that he is going to be the prince that's promised, that this is, and I've kind of, nothing has really taken me away from that opinion. But so I do think come the final episode, I mean, everyone's up for grabs. He could be killed in action. He could be, but I do think that him and Daenerys are the two that will undoubtedly, in my mind, make it till the final episode. If they don't, I don't know what the hell's going on. But I wouldn't mind at the same time. I absolutely wouldn't mind Game of Thrones completely surprising me, because it hasn't done that in a while. I think it used to more so when it was kind of under George R.R. Martin's influence, whereas now it's sort of more, a little bit more by the numbers. It's still amazing. It's still like the best TV show out there. But yeah, it's not as shocking as it used to be, I don't think.
Speaking of Daenerys and Jon, like, we've gone from
Danny, you mean?
Sorry, like...
Why did he get so personal?
Yeah, and also, where did he get that name? Like, he's talked to her like a handful of times. He doesn't know her nickname. Anyway, he went from the start of the episode from being too little for her.
Yeah. What was that as well?
That was just her being defensive and being like, trying to be like, I don't like him. She was like, don't tell me I like him. I don't like him.
But we've never really talked about Jon Snow being have small stature. You know that way. It's not something that they've brought. Like they brought in other parts of him being small into the plot line, but he never really talked about him being small.
I think it was more in like relation to like Drogo or
I mean, I guess so. But Daenerys is tiny. So I don't know. I thought it was just a weird conversation to have.
Anyway, we went from that to the end of the episode where they're like holding hands and he's bending his knee.
Longingly.
The cow eyes.
They're really testing it now. Really, like, I wonder how our audience is going to feel about these two together. How would you feel? I feel
like it's really difficult because you do root for them because they both have so much in common and they both kind of have that, like savior complex or whatever you'd call it, kind of both Messiah thing, but at the same, well, more so Dany, I guess, with that. Jon is sort of reluctantly but happily the hero, but yes, they've so much in common and there is this mutual respect and affection developing between them, but it's still incest and, and I'm getting a bit fed up of so many things moving so fast and news being delivered and like kind of weird fast-paced things of happening with geography, and someone like, why isn't Bran just told Jon the whole thing about his vision? And surely that's an important raven to send. I mean, has someone not told Bran that Jon Snow is hanging out with Daenerys Targaryen at the moment, and is Bran not going, do you know what, he could be related to her by my vision? I should probably get a raven to him and be like, hey dude, that's your aunt, or
even like do some recon, like he could be in Ravens watching the whole thing. Like he could have been the one who was like, oh, they're in trouble, they need you, they didn't need to send Gendry.
There was also a little interesting detail that I saw about Longclaw, the sword, when Jon Snow was getting out of the water. That there's
which is like everyone getting up for Monday morning. It's like,
that will be the gift that we'll just keep on giving next winter. But so there was like eyes on the sword, and the eyes kind of pop open on the little bear that's at the top of his sword. Now there was people on a Reddit group saying that oh no, it's just when the hand touches it, that's what happens. But then there was other people saying no, it's very strange. So if you look at it in close detail, it's weird. Like his eyes are closed, and then the eyes and the sword open as soon as he touches it. I mean, it's a really tiny little detail. You'll see it on like little gifs and memes. So I don't know, maybe that's just what Valyrian steel swords do, or maybe it's a sign of some sort of, I don't know, awakening thing.
Like, a part of me was like, oh, I wonder they probably won't touch on it because there's about 7 episodes left in the entire show. But it was like, obviously John got out of the water, and this is me just questioning my head. It's like, maybe he died again in the water.
Maybe.
Because it's like they were all pulling him down. It was like he's wearing heavy things.
Yeah.
It's a frozen lake. The fact that they managed to get out is pretty like
I know.
unlikely.
Or is he just sort of immortal?
Some way,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, it is. Yeah, I thought that was strange. And then, like, where was Benjen kind of before all this? You know, was he just sort of hanging out in the wings, being like, "I won't go yet."
Yeah.
Just waiting.
Maybe
You know?
he.
Is it
Oh, another nephew's in danger. I better go.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe he
It's
can
like a
hear
busy
the
day
scream
beyond
that
the wall.
White made, 'cause
That
he's
must have been
sort
it,
of
yeah.
White Walker-y. You know the way he's a bit magic now too.
Yeah,
So maybe
but that, I mean, that would have been 24 hours earlier, you know, because they were stuck on that rock overnight.
Yeah.
But I guess it was quite like there was a battle going on. It's not inconceivable that he'd be somewhat nearby in the north and he could hear it and go check things out.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, I was really upset about that. There was definitely time for him to get back on the horse and go with him.
Yeah.
But would the horse have been too slow, and with the White Walkers then have like done their
It's
really
kind of
fast
like a
running thing?
Jack and Kate.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's their moment.
on the on the board
Yeah,
thing. It's like
Jack
there was
and
room on
Rose.
that horse for 2.
Yeah.
But then I suppose he doesn't really have a story. He might as well die there as anyone else.
It was a bit too. I thought it was kind of, you know, very Hollywood heroics. Denny coming in her dragon, and then Benjen kind of coming in on the horse. It's like, come on now, okay, we get it. Like, another coincidence. I don't know. It was almost a little bit too much, and then also kind of a waste of that character as well.
Yeah.
A bit. It's like, he served. You know, he helped Bran and he helped John, but I just feel like, especially for the book readers, will be quite disappointed that
he went out so.
Yeah,
just like that.
Again, it's just sort of a lot of tying up a loose ends, I feel.
It's pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Back in Dragonstone before Daenerys left, and actually when she was leaving, we got Tyrion kind of basically disagreeing with her loads. And considering his track record so far this season, do you think he's starting to doubt himself? Or do you think that we still should have faith in Tyrion and he's going to come through? Because, I mean, nothing that he's actually planned has worked out.
No, he's made a lot of bad mistakes and decisions.
I'm assuming his redemption is going to come in the final episode where he'll do something, have outsmarted Cersei in some way, because there was a lot of talk about tricks being set up.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting, the whole conversation about the successor.
Yes.
Like, where did that come from?
I'm not really sure. I guess it's only really this season they've really played heavily on the fact that Daenerys can have children. And
Well, she sort of mentioned it before. It was the witch at the end of season 1 told her that she was barren.
Yeah.
Because it was like the death is to pay for life and the whole blood magic and that whatever baby that she had, she said it was malformed, but we never saw this.
Yeah.
And Daenerys was just told all this.
Yeah.
But she was like, and you'll never you can't have children anymore. There's nothing about you. And she's always there's been a few bits of it where she's like, they're my children, they're my only children. She has mentioned it here and there, but like they keep just knocking us over the head with it now, which I think is a pretty big foreshadow for the fact that she's going to be having a baby.
Gonna have
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of talk of children and legacy, like last week
that
we
with
had
Cersei.
and Jaime, and the whole thing before, it was like when Tywin said, like I've said before, the Tywin's whole thing was like, your legacy is like, it's what your family name is, you have to have children, you have to carry it forward. And we've been talking about that so much that I think it has to happen for Daenerys.
Yeah, I guess so. But then it's so weird how they're moving things time-wise. Like, will Daenerys and Cersei be preggers together?
Yeah.
The mass classes in Westeros.
Oh my god.
The mass in Westeros, yeah, amazing. So I just thought that was like, because again, nothing in Game of Thrones at the moment seems like it's wasted dialogue. You know, everything is very pointed. Yeah. So the fact that he was having a conversation, and maybe it was just to show Tyrion's sort of growing kind of questioning of Daenerys. But I also thought, that there's no conversation there for no reason anymore. So that it might be building towards something maybe in the final season. Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you think
Daenerys. Do you think, this is getting ahead of us slightly, but do you think Tyrion can outsmart Cersei? Like not a one-word answer, but like without going too into it, do you think he can?
I think he can, but I think Cersei's always ready to stretch the limits of what she's willing to do. I think Tyrion will also kind of try and outsmart and be more strategic about it, but Cersei will happily just go, oh, well, I'll just kill you all, you know, whereas Tyrion, you know, that way. So I think at the end of the day, he's up against someone who's a lot more treacherous than he could ever be. Yeah. So that could
he's
be...
willing to
do
much worse.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know.
I think the fact that she wasn't in this episode as well means expect something big from Cersei in the finale.
Like last year's finale.
Same with last year, no sign from the Battle of the Bastards. Well, obviously she wouldn't be, but in that whole the whole episode as a whole, and then she came back with a real bang.
Yeah. Literal.
Yeah.
Arya and Sansa.
Oh my
god,
god,
what is going on? Because I've like last week I had my theory about, I think that like Littlefinger's going to kill Sansa and frame it on Arya and get rid of both of them and be in charge. Now I'm convinced that Arya is playing a big game because she's being too stupid as well. It's like she's doing stupid things like reading it the letter outdoors where anyone can hear her. I was like, I think she's learned in Bravos from Lady Crane, was that her name, in the acting thing? I think she's learned how to be a good actor and she's also learned how to be a good spy and learned how to fucking plot. And I think she's playing Littlefinger. I think my only hope is that she's doing it to try and find out what Sansa really, really, really wants, and if she can really trust her.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm going to be so disappointed.
I know. I don't understand what they're doing with these two characters, and that, like, I mean, obviously there was a sibling rivalry between them when they were children, but they've sort of picked that up where it's left off without ever really explaining how two of them could be in that house. Like, just realistically, how have they not sat down and had a chat about both their lives up until now? What are they doing in Winterfell the whole time other than facing off against each other, you know? Again, that's a little bit too practical for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. It's like, why are these two going up against each other? Is Arya just bored now that she's not, like, off killing people on her list and is just sort of turning her attention to Sansa? I don't really understand what their game plan is. I feel like it's just setting something up with Littlefinger, as you were saying last week. But yeah, again, I think it's another kind of rushed character thing that's sort of not really given enough time to breathe, to understand why these two have suddenly developed such severe animosity towards each other so quickly when, you know, I didn't really want a sweet and schmaltzy Hallmark reunion between them, but it's just sort of dive into the deep end. Like, I mean, she was threatening her with a knife, basically, in this episode. So it all seemed a little bit too extreme. And there was also that theory going out there that Arya, like, isn't Arya, and she's like...
Yeah,
so I don't think that's true, but it's just sort of... It's almost at that point where, like, is there something like that going on? I don't know. I
think, no, she knows too much. She has to be Arya. I never really...
I mean, it would be completely ridiculous if she wasn't. But at the same time, I'm kind of finding the whole plot between them a little bit ridiculous anyway, so maybe they are going to...
You kind of wish to just go and have a chat with Bran and just... Look
here,
here, what's Littlefinger up to, like?
Yeah. Poor Sansa with her, like, terrifying new siblings, you know?
It really is tough, yeah.
And then also, she hasn't heard from Jon in weeks. I'm like, that's a little rude, you know?
John, send a damn Raven.
Send a Raven, you know? Just busy here with Daenerys, sorting out the whole, you know, Beyond the Wall thing. How has she not heard from him in weeks?
Well, I guess he probably just wanted her to know that he's going north of the wall, because they were pretty annoyed with him just going down to see Daenerys. Like, you're going beyond the wall. You're our king. You're going beyond the wall. This is just beyond stupid.
Yeah. I guess so.
Do you think Sansa sending Brienne to King's Landing, obviously she doesn't want to go to King's Landing.
Yeah.
But do you think she did it because Littlefinger said you have Brienne to stand between you? Do you think he wants to, like,
you really felt that? Because in the scene with Littlefinger, to me, it felt like, oh, well, don't worry, Brienne's always here. She will protect you if there's ever any harm. Next thing you know, Sansa's sending her away. So it's real, like, what's Sansa up to? Does she mean harm to Arya? Which...
Oh, that I didn't think of that. Well, it's Sansa like getting rid of any defense that Arya could have.
That's possible.
I don't know. I really hope those sisters don't actually end up, like, killing each other. Like, I hope they just... I mean, they've been through enough and they've been around enough, like, manipulative, evil men to not outsmart Littlefinger at this point. I know he's, like, you know, he's survived this long. He's pretty, you know, smart dude and treacherous dude in his own way. But I'm really hoping those two will just somehow come together.
Yeah, I think that last scene was kind of the most telling for me, because the fact that she appeared without making any noise, and then started telling her about the Game of Faces, and then gave her the knife. Yeah, I think because, like, Arya could have gotten into Littlefinger's room last week without making any noise. Yeah, but she made a lot of noise, and so she's definitely letting Littlefinger follow her and think that he's outsmarting her.
I hope so. I hope so, Dave.
And I think, like, the giving of the knife was like, I'm on your side. You don't have to worry about it, without saying it. Yeah. But I think she's also trying to confuse Sansa enough that Sansa still talks to Littlefinger about how she's worried about it. Yeah. She's trying to make Sansa not have to act on her behalf. Yeah. So she doesn't fool everyone. So.
I mean, yeah, I hope so, but I still don't think they're doing enough to explain this.
Maybe. Well, we've got 80 minutes next week, so hopefully. Hopefully.
The summit, the great summit in King's Landing.
Oh. Yeah, next week, have you watched the trailer?
Yes.
Have you watched the trailer? So we're going to King's Landing.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't seen Daenerys in the trailer, but we know that Jon Snow is going to face down with Cersei in the Dragon Pit.
Tyrion will also be there.
Jorah will be there. Jamie will be there. Brienne will be there.
The Hound will be. I wonder what the Hound will make of his new Frankenstein brother.
Yeah.
I guess so. Well, if Cersei's there,
Mountainstein
definitely there.
Yeah. Ugh.
Maybe
Who
that
knows,
could.
though,
What
but-
was that called? Of the mountain and the hound.
The game bowl.
Clegg and Bowl. Yeah.
Do you notice that in that scene from the trailer, it looked like they're in kind of like a Colosseum ruin kind of
Yeah.
place? I was like, that's a perfect place for a Clegane Bowl. That's all I'm saying.
Dragon pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? It's the dragon pit.
Yeah, the old dragon pit where they used to keep the dragons back in the Targaryen days.
Oh.
It's fallen to ruin because obviously no dragons, no Targaryens.
Right. I was wondering because I kind of always pictured this thing going down in the thrones
Yeah.
room, but
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. It's
I
gonna-
think, like,
Outdoors.
again, at the start of the trailer as well, we saw a Grey Worm who's still alive, arriving with like loads of Dothraki and Unsullied, and Bronn and Jaime in a castle somewhere. I'm assuming that's like the outlying walls of King's Landing, and
Yeah.
it's just like, hi, we're showing up at force, so
Yeah.
you know not to pull any shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but we don't see Daenerys then, but I'm assuming she's just going to land on the
Yeah.
dragon and be like, hi.
Hey, how's
Yeah.
it going?
Although that's a bit like coming in with a loaded gun, being like, "What's up, bitches?" you know, like, gonna eat y'all. Hopefully, because again, there's so many people we haven't seen in a few episodes. We haven't seen Theon, or
No, Theon is in King's
the-
Landing as
yeah.
well.
we haven't seen other Euron.
No, actually, God,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
the talk of the start of the season.
Yeah, so but like so
Yeah.
that's concerning.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen Sam in a while. Where's
No.
Sam headed to King's Landing? Do you think?
I thought he was going to the Winterfell. He was what
Yeah.
assumed. But
I-
like,
yeah.
why would he go to King's Landing
Yeah.
unless he knows?
Is the Targaryen Jon's bloodline reveal going to be in this episode? Do you think?
I don't know.
I feel like the way things are going, I feel like it's gonna be a season 8 thing.
Yeah.
Like you think it would have happened by now.
You would have thought it would have happened by
But then
now.
again, it is a big episode next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. I can't wait though because I'm really again hoping that they just do something that completely leaves their jaws on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And messes with their heads. That will have. And there's talk of it being 2019 till the following season. So
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Well, they're only shooting in October this
Yeah,
year, so
so
by the time
there
they
is-
shoot it all and post and everything else.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping it's some sort of mindfuck that leaves us all going for 12 months, like hoping and not hoping, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I feel like
Like
this
another
is-
blowing up of the sept.
Yeah, that this is all these major characters finally coming together. They're all gonna have tricks up their sleeve in case shit goes down, and I just can't wait.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there for today. A competition this week for a box of Kyo's Crinkle Cut crisps. We want you to tell us who is it that Tormund wants to make giant babies with. Beautiful beasts. So what is he got? Monsters.
Some kiss
Monster
babies.
babies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rule the world. So yeah, let's comment below and let us know who Tormund wants to make those babies with. We'll be right here next week after the season 7 finale.
I know.
80 minutes long, so at least we have a good chunk of it
Yeah.
to look forward to. But then
God, anything could happen.
anything could happen, and after
Yeah.
that, we'll just have to wait once again. But we'll see you here next week.